friends, welcome back. In today's video, I decided to start solving problem of the day from the GeeksForGeeks website. I'm sure if you're into programming, you've heard about this website. This is an amazing website. They have really good examples for you to practice your programming skills, right? So every day they post a new problem, and it could be an easy one, a medium one, or like a really hard problem for you to solve. But like you can keep working on your programming skills. So now that I'm recording this video is December 15th in 2023, and I was looking at their website, and like this is what they posted today. Reach the nth point, and it's rated an easy question. So let's see what the problem is and let's solve it together. If it was too easy, we can always like do another one. Let's say like come back to the yesterday's problem and like do this one as well. But let's see how it goes. So let's read the problem. Well, it says there are endpoints on the road. You can step ahead by 1 or 2 if you start from point 0. And you can only move from point I to point I plus 1 after taking the step of length 1. Find a number of ways you can reach a point N. And they also provide an example in case you didn't really understand 100%. Oops, my battery's dying. It's okay. So it says if N is 4, then there are like 5 ways to reach the point number 4. So we can start from 0 and go to 1, to 2, to 3, and then to 4. Like step sizes are fun. And then you can go to 1 and 2, and then like move step 2, that goes to 4. And then you can obviously do 1, 2, 1, to 1, 1, and 2, 2. Looks pretty straightforward. Then like we look at this one and it's 5, then like there was 8 possible ways. So like you can always take step size of 1 and then go 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, and so on and so forth. So that's like 8. So to me, this is like a very classic example of the Fibonacci sequence, right? The number of ways to reach point N, starting from point 0, where you can only move either 1 or 2 steps at a time, right? That's basically what the Fibonacci series is. The reasons behind that is that because let's say that you're at point I, right? The number of ways to reach to point I plus 1 is the same as the number of ways to reach point I, right? Because you can take 1 step of length 1 to get to step 1 to point 1 plus 1. Also, the number of ways to reach to point I plus 2 is the sum of the ways to reach to point I and the ways to reach to point I plus 1, because you can take a step of length 2. Because of these reasons, this is a very simple Fibonacci series to me. Let's implement that in Python though, and let's see how it goes. So define a function, and I'm just gonna call that reach point N, right? Or maybe we can just change the name. I'd be called ways to reach point N, and as they would say it, and N is the input argument. So I'm just going to go if N is less than or equal to 1, right? Because if you don't want to move N is 0, then you don't really want to, like, there is only one way. It's not to move. And if N is 1, then you can only take a step size of 1. There is no other way. So I'm just going to go return 1. But if that's not the case, so let's say that I go ways equals 0 times N plus 1, right? I'm just like initializing a list. I don't really have to do this. I'm doing it this way so you have a better understanding of what's going on. So because like we have N points, right? Like we have point number N, because we start from 0, then we have like N plus 1 points, right? And the ways, this is like the number of like each element represent the number of ways that you can get to that specific point. So that I can go ways 0, that's equal 1. This is basically what we did in this if statement in here. In ways 1 is also 1, right? But as I said, it's a classic Fibonacci series. So I'm just going to go for I in range 2 to N plus 1. right? Then ways I, that equals ways I minus 1 plus ways I minus 2, right? I minus 2. That makes more sense. And then once you're done, you can basically return ways n. Okay, that should be it. Let's test it, see if we've messed up somewhere. So I'm just gonna go if underscore name equals underscore main, then n equals, I don't know, 4, for example. And then they had this function, let's say w is that of n, and then I'm just gonna go print there are w ways to get to the nth point, right? So if we run this now, it says there are 5 ways to get to point 4, and this is what they had in their example, right? And it's 4, we're supposed to see 5, and it's 5, we're supposed to see 8. So let's change this to 5 and run that again. There are 8 ways to get to the 5th point. Okay, this was super easy. Let's just keep that here. And let's do the other problem. Let's take a look at the other problem from yesterday. It's painting the fence. So interesting. Let's see what this problem is about. It says, given a fence with n posts and k colors, find out the number of ways of painting the fence so that not more than 2 consecutive posts have the same color. Okay, cool. So the problem is easy to understand. I would say it's nothing crazy. So you have n posts and basically you want to paint them using k colors, but like you can have at most 2 posts painted with the same color. And it says like, since the number can be large, then returns like this module, which is okay. Like we don't really have to worry about that because like that's just like a module sign. We don't really need to worry about that. But let's actually do the problem. Let's go back to Python, define a function. I'm just going to call that ways to paint fence, baby. And what are the inputs to this function? So we have n posts and k colors to use, right? Okay, let's get started. I just want to go if n equals 0, right? If you have no post, then if obviously the answer is 0, so return 0. If n equals 1, right? If you only have 1 post and k colors, there's obviously k different ways to paint that. No problem. But now, let's say we want to like move on and like do more. I want to define like the same way that we did this example up here. I want to define 2 lists. Just gonna go, for example, same color, right? Let's just do it this way. That's 0 times n, and then different color. That's the same thing, 0 times n. Okay. So let's see. Why have I defined these 2? So the first one, same color. This basically represents the number of ways to paint this post with the same color as the previous post, right? And then the other one, diff color, that's a list that basically represent the number of ways to paint it with a different color than the previous post. Okay, so that should be clear. And So we have the result for the first two, right? So I'm just gonna go, we just wanna go, just go here, same color, 0, right? That's K. And diff color, 0. It's also K, right? Because like it's the first one. There are K different ways that like you can paint it with the same color and K different ways to paint it with a different color. It's just like very easy to know, right? But now for the first one, just like copy these so I don't have to write it every time. I'm just gonna go for the first one. There is also like K ways to paint it with the same color as the previous one, right? And but how many colors, like how many options do we have for painting it different from the other one? I would say it's if it's like simple math, right? It's K times K minus 1, because you want to be different from the other one. So like you have K minus 1 options, and then like you have K different colors. So it's like K times K minus 1. Now that we have this, like we can basically use the same scenario that we used in the previous example and just go for I in range 2 to n, right? Basically, we can bring these guys over, put them here. Just need to tap them over. So this would be I, right? And just copy this guy. So for the second one, how many ways do we have to paint it with the same color as the previous one? That is basically just hold this guy, we'll get this over. So that's like different color I minus 1, right? I minus 1, not I. So like there is like this many options, right? Because like you calculate, like look at this example in here, you calculated, for example, for 1, you calculated this many options, right? And now if you want to like paint the next one with the same color, that's basically this many options in here. So you've already calculated that. So I'm just going to go diff color I minus 1, right? And the number of colors, the number of options that you have to paint it with a different color, that would be basically like what we did in here, right? So I'm just gonna go, it's same color. Just go here, open brackets. It's same color, I minus 1, right? Plus different color, I minus 1 times K minus 1, right? And if you look at it, it's basically the same scenario. So like if, oops, that's a 1, not a 0. So if you look at this, it's like the same thing. It's basically K plus 0, right? And 0 is, so if you look at this, K is same color I, which is like this guy in here, right? And we have it here, I minus 1, right? Forget, change that to I as well. And then different color I minus 1, when you look at this guy, different color is like 0. So it's basically 0. Sounds good. And this makes sense. And I think that's it. And once you calculated this, then you can basically return the last ones in here, right? So I'm just gonna copy these and bring it over. And basically we want the last element in the list, right? And you know, like when you go minus 1, it's like the last element in each list, and go minus 2, it's the second last element in each list. This should make sense, right? And we can run it and see if that works. And let's see how it works. So I want to bring this function over and go here and say number of posts equals what was the example again? 3 and 2. Okay, number of posts is 3. Number of colors is 2. And I basically want to go W equals less of number of posts, right? And number of colors. Just put them here. And I'm going to bring our print statement so they don't have to write it again. And there are these many ways to paint, how many posts do we have, and posts with this many colors, given the circumstances that we have, right? I just want to put it in here so that given the conditions that we already know, so we don't really have to worry about the conditions. So let's comment the first function out because we already tested that one. And if I run this, it says there are 6 ways to paint 3. So for 3 and 2, we had 6, which is okay. And then for 2 and 4, let's see if I change that to 2 and then this other guy to 4, I'm supposed to see 16. So let's just run that and see what we get. We get 16 ways. Just to make sure that like he understood what was happening here, let me add a comment here, right? Let's say we have 3 posts, right? I'm just gonna go 3 posts and 2 colors, right? Well, this is actually the example that they had, so I can actually explain it here, right? So the way we did it, like we said that how many ways do we have to paint it basically with the same color as the previous one, right? So here you have, for example, 2 different colors, right? So here it could be white or green. So the next one is also like could be white or green, right? That's what we have here. Like for the first one, we had like same color K, right? And then why is that different? Like what are the other one? Like different colors. If you paint the first one green, then you can do the next one white. And if you the first one white, then you can do the next one green. So like it alternates, so you still have like K functions. K. That's good. Let's move to the next one, right? So post number 2, like in the middle one. How many ways can we like paint it with the same color as the previous one, right? You only have to, if the first one was green, the second one has to be green. If it's white, then the second one also has to be white. So it's obviously K, right? And but like how can it be different? How many different options you have? Well, for each of the options that you have, right? Like you have, if the previous one is like K, so this one is K minus 1, and then like obviously you can multiply it by K to get the different colors, because like that's many different options that you have. So hopefully that's clear now. And if it's confusing, just take a look at listen to this video, watch this video again, and hopefully it makes it clearer for you. And if you still have problem understanding what was going on, just let me know in the comments. I'd be more than happy to elaborate more on this. So that's about it. We answered 2 of the questions that they had. Fairly easy when it comes to programming skills. Like maybe for the second one, you needed to know some some math behind it. But like in terms of programming, as you can see, like there is nothing crazy going on in here. Like there is just like for loops and lists operations, stuff like that. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching me. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to support me, and also not to miss the next video when I upload it. Take care, you guys, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.